you want to stay away from people who are going to give you negative references or that are going to just give you mediocre references. And I know that it's a little bit easier to figure out who may give you a negative reference versus a mediocre reference. But to me, mediocre is negative. So, you have to just kind of think about how you want to blend those. But I think, it's pretty clear to people, like, you don't want to, if you, let's say, failed a course, and not just so much that you failed, but that maybe you just had a bad experience with a particular course, then you're probably almost definitely not, and please don't reach out to that particular teacher to write a reference for you. That is not going to be a good situation, because even though, academic people are used to doing this, there's also the integrity piece, right? And so even though they are at your school or, they're at your university and they want to help you out, they're not going to be able to just sit there, or at least they should not, if they're a good person, and lie on your reference about, oh yeah, they were great and they did this, even if you failed the course. Like, they have to, there's some level of academic integrity that has to take place. And so you don't want to do that. You also, if you, let's say, have had a confrontation with, and I don't mean like something really horrible, but if you had different disagreements with a different, professor or whoever it was, you don't want to be reaching out to them for that, because again, they may, the thing about references and letters of recommendations, which is a good thing and a bad thing, is that, you are typically most times not privy to what is being said. So you're just going on good faith that the people that you reach out to are going to say great things. And I would say that 95 to 96% of the time, people that you reach out to are going to say good things, but there's always going to be that 4 to 5% who, it's like, particularly if it's just a written part, their words may come off a little bit different, but for some programs, they may also want to have a chance to get them on the phone. And this is a tactic that a lot of programs, study abroad programs, and as well as university programs use as well, to start weeding out people, because they can see what the person wrote, but then they want to get them on the phone to sort of drill a bit more into what they're saying. And particularly if you've had someone who has written you a glowing reference and someone who has written you a not so good reference, they're going to want to drill more into that. And so if they get the person on the phone, they're starting to talk to them. And, a lot of it is, sort of not even conscious. The person is sort of just, saying exactly how it is, but it could make you look in a negative light. So you want to be aware of that, of if there's going to be someone who, whatever it was, maybe even left a internship or whatever, not on the best terms, do not reach out to that person to give you a reference. You will find another way to get a reference from someone. On the sort of same note with that, what I like to call the mediocre references, I mean, this is hard to tell because you aren't privy to what other references people have written, but you can typically tell based on someone's communication style, based on, how they interact with you. Like, are they going to just be like, oh, well, this person's great and I recommend them for the program? That's not going to be enough. It's just like if someone's like giving a survey and they ask you, how was everything? You're like, great. And then you like walk away. I wish I was that person. For me, like every time I fill out a survey, it's like, this was great, and this was great, and this was bad. And then I like go into a whole diatribe, but you would expect that listening to my channel and based on how I communicate, that I have a lot of words up here and a lot of things that are always coming out of my mind because I'm so analytical. But you don't want to, get into a situation where someone is going to be giving you a reference and just kind of giving the bare minimum. To me, that is just as bad as someone who's not going to say anything great about you, because they don't really showcase what you can do. So you just want to keep that in mind as well. Now, the other thing that you could do is for someone who you really want to give you a reference, but you feel like, you may need to help them out a little bit more, you can definitely do that. So maybe, you got your star person who, like, okay, they've got it, like they're going to give me the best reference ever. And then let's say you need 3. So you have that person, then you have the middle of the road person who's going to present like both sides. And then you have this other person that you really want the admissions team to hear from them. However, you feel like you're going to need to do a little bit more of the work. What you can do in that case is to give them some talking points. So I've done this in the past of people who, they've been great professors or whoever, but I felt like, I don't know if they're going to be able to sell it how I want them to. Of course, you're not in the mix of them actually writing it, but what you can do is in addition to your CV or your resume, which you definitely should give them when you're asking for the reference, is give them some talking points of things that you want to highlight or things that you want them to make connections on between the application of the program you're applying to and what you've previously done in the past or things that you're passionate about, just so that they can sort of not feel overwhelmed and feel like they have to think of all the different things. You're just helping them out a little bit more. That is definitely sort of a way to tamp down some of the pressure that you would have to feel like, this person has been really great and I think they'd be a great reference in some ways, but they may not give me exactly what I need, to at least give them a boost so that you can help them out and give them a little bit more information with that, so that they can ultimately write you a good reference or be a great reference or a letter of recommendation or whatever you're going to need for your particular program.